In the Middle East, there is a city, beloved and desired beyond measure. Many believed it was the center of the world. Jerusalem. Behind the Footsteps of Jesus, a 14-episode series to deepen in the life of the Messiah and the events related to his death.
We're at the entrance of the city of David, where the magnificent palace of King David was once found in the past. This part of the city is the oldest. Today, it's outside of the walls, but in the time of Jesus, it was part of the walled area of the city. The city of David extended to the Cedar Valley, which is the lowest part of ancient Jerusalem. The city of David is currently one of the sites where the most interesting archaeological finds have been made in the ancient world. The city of David is located to the south of the current Old City on a small hill of hard limestone, the hill of Orphel, on a narrow crest that borders the Cedar Valley. The valley is full of erosion and debris accumulated over the course of a millennia. In the valley, the spring of Gihon is found, which is the major source of water of the city. The spring of Gihon made the founding of the city of David possible and supported its existence for thousands of years. This area was the first city of Jerusalem, an area that was conquered by King David when he defeated the Jebusites by turning it into the capital of his kingdom and his royal palace.
Here we can contemplate a series of Phoenician-style capitals, which have been discovered in the area of the city. You might wonder what these Phoenician capitals have to do with King David's palace. This type of construction, made by the Phoenicians, was part of the royal palaces of Israel, and even today it is reproduced in the shekels or the coins of Israel. In 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 11, we find that the first thing that David did after conquering the place was to ask for the help of the Phoenicians to build his palace. Very large walls have been found and are estimated to be part of the structure of the royal palace. Ceramic artifacts have been found in this same area that date back 10 centuries BC. Ceramics from the time of the Jebusites were people who populated the area before the conquest of King David. One of the most important discoveries in the city of David is an enormous structure of staggered stone. It is unique in its class. 12 stories high, it contains the largest Iron Age construction in Israel, which could have been used to reinforce David's palace. The structure dates back to the time of the United Monarchy, but the infrastructure and the base were originally built at the end of the 13th century BC. In addition, the archaeological evidence found on the east side of the city of David shows the Babylonian invasion of the year 587 to 586 BC and reveal the biblical descriptions of the destruction of Jerusalem.
One of the most recent and incredible discoveries in this area of the royal palace was the decree or imprint of the prophet Isaiah. In the seal, one can clearly read Yeshaya, which means belongs to Isaiah. In the line below, you can also see the partial word Neviah, which means prophet. The seal has been found in an area that's guessed to have been the royal bakery. In the year 2015, the decree or seal of King Hezekiah was actually found only 10 meters from that place. In the seal, one can read Hezekiah, King of Judah. There was no other person closest to King Hezekiah, as was the prophet Isaiah, who brought him the messages of God. We can read these messages in Isaiah chapter 37. Isn't it impressive to have archaeological evidence of the existence of these great men of biblical history? There's also clear proof that the area had to do with royal or administrative matters in the city. Isaiah is considered the evangelical prophet of the Old Testament, since he was the prophet who wrote most prophecies about the coming and the mission of the Messiah, Jesus Christ. More than 700 years before Jesus, the prophet Isaiah had written, "But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him. And with his stripes we are healed. And we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all." Isaiah chapter 53, verses 5 to 6.
At this same location, within a large structure, which must have been an important area of the palace because it contained the actual records, some clay imprints or stamps in Hebrew have been found. Dr. Elliot Mazar, one of the most prominent Israeli archaeologists, found a seal with the inscription Gedaliah, son of Pashur. According to Mazar, the stamp dates back to the final years of the First Temple period, during the reign of Zedekiah, the last king of Judah. In a nearby place, Mazar also found the seal of Juka, son of Shelemiah. These two names of high-ranking officers and accusers of the prophet Jeremiah are mentioned in Jeremiah chapter 38, verse 1. The seals have been found in a layer of rubble from Jerusalem, where they also found traces of ashes, evidences that the area was destroyed by fire. It is estimated that these rubbles are remnants of the destruction of Jerusalem during Nebuchadnezzar's time. The above-mentioned men lived during the exact time of the destruction of Jerusalem from the Babylonians, and were the servants of the king responsible for throwing Jeremiah in the cistern shortly before Jerusalem fell into the hands of the Babylonians. These evidences are proof that the royal court was in that area. During the summer of 1998, a small opening was discovered that led to a deep cave. Using ropes, the explorers descended more than 7 meters, or 21 feet, underground into an old water cistern, which was almost 50 feet in diameter and had 7 small openings. This cistern, located in the vicinity of what was supposed to have been the palace of King David, strongly evokes the history of the prophet Jeremiah. Through the king's authorization, Jeremiah was thrown into a cistern so that his voice, recommending surrender to the Chaldeans, would be silenced. On the west side of David's palace lies a great Roman construction with its famous ceramics and a Jewish palace. A great treasure of 264 old gold coins was also found.
Incredible discoveries prove the accuracy of this place as the palace of King David. Under the area of King David's palace are tunnels that seem mysterious, however, are what led to the source of the waters that provided life to the city. These tunnels were built by the Canaanites even before King David arrived to these lands. It's believed that David's soldiers managed to conquer the city through these tunnels. Hezekiah's tunnel is also in this area. He sent it to be built so that water could be drawn from the source of the Gihon and thus would feed the city of David.
Under the rubble that was left, the destruction of Jerusalem, are numerous tunnels that were mentioned by the historian Josephus, where the Jews took refuge during the struggles with the Roman Empire. Thousands of people died in these tunnels when the Romans destroyed Jerusalem in the year 70. The good part of these tunnels are those that Herod had built with the aim of bringing water from the upper parts of the city to the city of David. The historian Josephus mentions that during the siege of Jerusalem, the Romans opened access to these tunnels and killed many Jews who hid and took shelter in them. The historian Josephus also mentions that there were thousands of Jews who visited the temple in Jesus' days. The question was, how could thousands of people ascend to the temple without fulfilling the ritual of cleanliness? A very large pool and a road that leads from there to the temple area were located towards the lower part of the city of David. This road was over some tunnels that were built by Herod. Today, this road is closed and covered with rubble. Every year in September, a conference of archaeological studies on the city of David is held, where the latest discoveries are presented. The excavations continue to give evidence of the presence of the Jewish nation in the city and illuminate the ancient history of the Jewish people.
In the Gospel of Luke, chapter 20, verses 41 to 43, we find the words of Jesus that say, "And he said unto them, How say they that Christ is David's son? And David himself saith in the book of Psalms, The Lord said unto my Lord, Sit thou on my right hand, till I make thine enemies thy footstool." Jesus mentioned the mighty King David, and upon recognizing that David spoke of another Lord, that it would be Jesus who would come to gain the victory over evil and over sin. King David was a man who walked with God, who was regarded as the man after the heart of God. David was a symbol of Christ. Although Jesus did not establish an earthly reign, the life of Jesus established another kingdom, a spiritual kingdom. Jesus came to bring us another fortress, another city of refuge. Jesus is our strength and our refuge. Jesus is the King of kings and Lord of lords, who has existed from eternity. He became man to intercede for our sins and took victory over Satan by establishing the kingdom of grace. Jesus will soon return to establish his heavenly kingdom and reign over his children for eternity. Friend, accept the life of Jesus, and soon you will be part of that heavenly kingdom.